All right, but I believe we are recording. Hi again, everybody. Terry Vanderbeck here with Sanford Health, coming to you live from the Sanford Pentagon. That backdrop is legitimate. Today we've got some special guests in, and we'll set a couple ground rules here off the bat. First and foremost, reminder, please, athletes, parents out there, coaches, take the medical advice that's going around seriously. Please try and stay at home as much as you can. You won't regret being overcautious with everything that's going on. So first and foremost that. Second, just to lay the groundwork on today's conversation, we're hearing in our spaces with access to a lot of different athletes at a lot of different levels, but especially those high school kids, they're concerned about how everything that's going on with COVID-19 is going to damage their opportunity to pursue playing at college. And so we thought we would bring in some experts on that subject today to try and ease some concerns that this is not going to be the end, that you should stay motivated, keep doing the right things, keep doing what you're doing. And so we brought in some of our fantastic college partners to do that today. We will quickly introduce those folks. Again, one other disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. So we're not giving specific advice. We're not promoting any one university. This is simply bringing in people who can say, as a matter of fact, we are still looking for talent, and we'll be looking for talent as appropriate. So with that, let's go in clockwise fashion here. You guys know me. We've got with us from Fargo, Dave Richmond of the North Dakota State University men's basketball team, one of the few Division I men's teams in the country that got their conference tournament in, got to cut down some nets. So appreciate Dave being here with us. Also, Dave and I are the same age and grew up he at a much higher level than I did, but playing some hoops against each other. So
I don't know about that, Terry.
Come on. Yeah, you do know about that. It was much better at Wahpeton than it was at Jamestown. Also, we've got Leanne Williamson next up, who is the head coach of the University of South Dakota Coyotes volleyball team, coming off an absolutely exceptional season in their own right. What are we in? 31-2, 30-2?
31-3.
31-3. Wow, unbelievable. Made a great run in the volleyball version of the NIT. Played a fantastic match here in our building. Great crowd. And so, Leanne, thank you so much for being here. Again, appreciate it. And then up in the top corner, we got Rob Bishop, baseball coach at South Dakota State University. Rob is should be in full season right now. So not just recruiting, but obviously their whole spring season got canceled. We can hit on that a little bit too. And that's a program that over the years has done really, really well and put more and more kids into that major league level. And so again, thank you all for being here. I said it off the top, but again, hope everyone in your lives as well, and doing as well as be considered. So I'll kind of go around the horn here, but let's just start with Dave. So first of all, the recruiting dead period started when all this came up, and initially was put in through April 15th. For people that don't know, a dead period means that you can't go out and recruit in person, essentially, along with some restrictions around electronic communication. That just a couple days ago, that got extended through May 31. So again, you're talking about 6 weeks. You're talking about now you're getting into club basketball season. You're getting into you're eating up most of the club volleyball season in addition to Rob's full actual season. So Dave, what kinds of implications does that have for staffs in terms of, obviously we know kind of what they can't do, but what can you guys, or what would staff still be doing right now, even though you maybe can't travel and go watch kids play in person?
Yeah, no, Terry, first and foremost, I want to second what you said about us social distancing and doing our part. And we appreciate this opportunity. It's certainly unique times. And you mentioned the words expert to start. I don't think any of us are experts on any of this. This is uncharted territory for all of us. And so we're also figuring some of these things out on the fly, but reassurance and that things are going to go, and this is a country that's proven strong, and programs that have proven strong, and we'll get through this. And we are still doing things as a staff to stay in touch with, first and foremost, our current guys to make sure they're good, but also our prospects. We've identified prospects and trying to continue to communicate with them. For me, it's you talk about from a prospect standpoint. For me, it's very difficult. I'm someone that I want to look you in the whites of the eyes. I want you to be able to look me in the whites of the eyes and get to campus. And so to reassure some of these recruits out there, these prospects, that from a standpoint, we're not going to move very fast. I'm not going to change our plan from a standpoint of, I don't want to bring a young man that doesn't have full disclosure of everything that we're about, and seeing that firsthand physically, that we've been in their home to be in their environment too. So this process is unnerving for a lot of us, and I'm not going to change our ways to hurry up and speed it, or to just take somebody on a whim because of a quick highlight video or a talent. I know we're going to get into it, but control the things that you can control right now. And I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give all of us.
Sure. And Leanne, on the volleyball side of things, a couple interesting layers to that too. One, again, you are missing that club season right now. And I know you would be, your staff before this happened, they were, posting on social media where they're going, what tournaments and that kind of thing. At the same time, it's also a little unique in that, volleyball, if I'm the most recent stats I've seen are accurate, is kind of a high achieving sport. Like on the whole, the GPAs are pretty good. There's maybe not some of the, you want a kid that fits your system, but maybe the character concerns aren't there. What are you seeing in losing that prime time right now? You maybe have the opportunity to trust that a kid, even if you haven't met him, is what you're looking for, and yet that's just a different way of doing business than what you're used to.
Yeah, I would reiterate what he just said, and we're figuring it out as we go. I think as a staff, we're talking daily to kind of figure out what our next steps are. When that first kind of period hit, I think it was like 7 or 8 different recruiting trips that instantly were canceled for us. And it was a little unnerving, I think, for us as well, because there's, one thing that we look at is growth. So, not being able to see some of these players multiple times can obviously change the process a little bit, but that doesn't mean that the process isn't going to happen. I would agree that it's probably going to slow it down a little bit. We're going to continue to have those conversations, and our grouping or our recruiting is a little bit different too, where we can really only talk to 20s and 21s right now. And then in June, middle of June is when we're able to start talking to 22s. So that'll really, I think, for them kind of start that process. But, we're still looking, we're still watching film, we're reading all the emails, we're going through to at least form lists where when we are able to go out, we're going to hit the ground running. I mean, we'll be out more in that period of time than we probably would have been, because I think at that point in time we would have had a better grasp. But I think to reassure people that everybody's in the same boat. Players are in the same boat, coaches are in the same boat. Across the country, we're all going through this, and we're all trying to figure it out. I would say academics should be a priority. It's something that we reiterated to our team yesterday, and volleyball is one that has primarily been known for high academics in a lot of situations. Our team alone has done really, really well in the classroom. So that's something that our team is focusing on. We can't do a ton with volleyball right now, so let's control what we can control. We can control how our academics finish up this semester. And when we get the go ahead, when these high school athletes and club athletes get the go ahead, then really start to focus on your sport again. But, we can only control certain parts of our life, and that's what we should focus on right now.
Yeah, no, great point. And Rob, the baseball situation is, again, compounded by the fact that on one hand, if you were to get like a week of blizzard, you might have time to do some extra recruiting. Baseball, you're historically, you get kids leaving from all over the country, so you might be doing a lot of video things anyways versus traveling. That's different. Now you've got the extra layer on with the extension of eligibility for the current seniors. You're going to have to kind of talk to them, feel them out, see who wants to come back, who doesn't, and then based on that, right, calibrate backwards. Now, certainly there's some legislation around those kind of super seniors not counting against it, but you got to work with your athletic director in terms of, do you have the funding for all those kinds of things? How have you tried to put what you can and can't do in recruiting right now in the pecking order of important things that you have to deal with?
Well, I think Leanne and Dave both are, I'll agree with them. Our first focus is just really on taking care of the student athletes that are in the program now. And honestly, for us, like it's, there's some grief going on with the seniors, obviously, and some of those guys have graduated and already have plans. So there's some uncertainty whether, which of those kids will decide to come back, or if they want to put their life on hold in that regard. And then, even the younger kids in the program now get another year moving forward. So it changes from us. We've had to just readjust what we're doing probably with roster in 21 and 22 from that perspective, big picture. In the in the near term, really it hasn't changed a lot for us. Our traditional rhythm this time of year, we're playing so much and we're traveling so much that really it doesn't change a lot of the evaluation for us at this point. It's more missing out on opportunities of kids coming to campus with their families on official visits or unofficial visits and getting to interact with our team. And I really use especially our core group of guys that understand what we're about to help us evaluate, you know, the personality and the fit maybe of a kid that would come in. So that's what we're missing a little bit. It's going to slow the whole thing down for us, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. If kids can just be patient and so what Leanne said, you know, just control the pieces of it you can control. Do a good job academically. If you can't do anything baseball wise because your community is not set up for it or you don't have a place you can do that safely, focus on strength and conditioning. You know, you can find a million things. There's so many more resources now that kids have. You can do an online yoga class. You can really do anything, and strength and conditioning staffs and you guys obviously have made yourself available to us, but student athletes that are younger have that ability too. So we're still watching video every day, evaluating guys every day, communicating via, you know, text or Zoom or you know, phone calls or whatever is permissible with those people. So we're actually probably getting to know some of those recruits a little bit better because we have a little bit more time. So my advice would be just be patient. Don't make a decision hastily that you're looking at a 4 or 5 year window and you want to make sure you make the right choice and fit into a program that fits your personality and what you really want out of your experience.
Not to mention, you guys may be able to learn really about the character of those kids and how they handle all this, right? I mean, Dave, you're a guy that preaches toughness on all of your guys, and you got to have a little bit of toughness about you to handle this in the right way. And in some regards, they may separate themselves. It's sort of like them posting on social media, not thinking coaches are watching. By the way they handle themselves right now, may help separate some of those. In the interest of keeping you respectful for your time here, I'm basically going to go around the horn one more time here with a question, which is, what should, we'll start with Dave again. What should the kids be doing right now? Again, I mentioned off the top some things. A lot of people have recruiting questionnaires. They've got their huddle stuff where they're uploading game film, but maybe workout film that they can do at home. Taking care of schoolwork, being helpful to mom and dad. What are some of the things, though, Dave, in terms of helping themselves visibly, where coaches may notice, or even just, you know, internally that they can be doing to better themselves right now?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with Coach Bishop, and it's really reassuring to me too, as we're all new to this process, that patience, and all of us coaches, it's not one of our virtues that's at the top. You know, we're not very patient people. We want those instant results, but you know, and I don't know, we can take this thing a lot of ways, Terry. I'm not a big fan of the transfers, and there's that epidemic, and if people are impatient, like Coach is talking about, and aren't patient, then this just opens up a can of worms next spring. And again, to piggyback on what Coach said, like, find your fit, and you're the ones making this decision too. It's not us forcing you into it. And I think that's some of those things are going to be going on at certain levels where they feel like, you know, they might have a leg up because they got a deeper relationship with somebody, and they're going to try to force you into something. No, be patient and find your fit. This is college. This is the greatest 4 or 5 years of your life. And to your point, like and I thought about this, and you kind of hit on it. Like, we are a program that a lot of our success is based on our mental toughness, and mental toughness, you know, is controlling what you can control. You can, and we've touched on it, different parts here. There's an academic piece of this that we're all evaluating. We're scrolling social media all the time. I think for me, and not to say this arrogantly, but the easiest thing out there to find is talent. You know, for us, we want to make sure that we find the right talent that fits us. What kind of character and integrity do they have? What do their grades look like? You know, like serve. How can you help your mother and father around? You know, what are you doing with your brothers and sisters? And some of those things that we can't actually see. We're not doing Zoom, you know, home visits right now with every kid. We're not, but those things translate. They really do. And I think the other thing to reassure you is, and all three of us coaches have touched on it, the importance of our own guys, our own ladies, that we're still taking care of them, and our main focus is them rather than that recruiting piece. And I know it's different for different seasons, and we're going to be able to hopefully get out at some point this summer and see some of those, but control the things that you can control. I know we've all said it now, and that the biggest piece with that is your academics and your character and your integrity. And if it's meant to be, it'll meant to be, and you'll find your fit.
Yeah, and Leanne, your last answer, you probably something I was speaking with Andy Gillen, one of our kind of our sports mental guru today. The phrase he keeps saying to me over and over and over right now is "be where your feet are," and so I think that's going to be important for these kids when things get back to normal. You can't now all of a sudden go out and try to make a play all the time, right? Feeling like pressure, like, oh, I lost the club season, so I got to get more kills. What are your I suppose we may see some of that. And again, that probably doesn't matter either, right? Just because you had an extra kill per match, but you made one more mistake, like that doesn't even out. So be yourself and go ahead and just play, because it's not like the kid next to you had that season. You didn't. You're all in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually very much enjoyed my conversation with Andy as well. And I think it puts some things into perspective for me. I don't remember which other coach said it, but the fact that coaches don't like to be patient sometimes. They don't want to have to wait. And, I think that time for, again, controlling what you can control. I mean, I think he did a great job of saying everything. But when we are able to go again, we understand that there has been a little bit of a dip now, even with our own athletes. We talked to them yesterday. I can't expect them to be in the exact shape that they would have been if they were on campus for the entire spring, working out with our strength conditioning coach in a weight room. I mean, we've got athletes where pretty much their city is shut down. So they're at home, and some of them don't have access to equipment. So, and I know that there's high school and club athletes that are in that position. So understanding that when we do get back on the court and we're able to come out and see you, you've got to just trust that the process is going to come. And we actually use the phrase "trust the process" in our own program quite a bit. Our players probably hate hearing it from me as often as they do, but it is very true. And I think in this situation, we're going to use that even probably to a higher degree with our athletes, because we didn't get the same amount of training as we normally would have in this off season. And that's the same with these club athletes right now. A lot of them have been off for almost about a month now. And they're going to be off for another 2, so at that point in time, you do what you can. You can't expect to be perfect there. Trust that you're going to get better, trust the growth. But I do think that even though this is a really tough situation, and I think COVID-19 put us into a position that nobody really wanted to be, there's still some positives that can come out of it. For myself, I've been home with my 3 kids, and even though they drive me nuts some days, I wouldn't trade this time for anything either. I mean, there's a couple of our athletes have said, well, I've actually been able to spend quite a bit of time with my brothers and sisters I don't always get to see. And those are things that, I think reassure us that we've got great people in our program, and those are the type of people that we want, the ones that can find the positives in maybe a tough situation, and the people that can trust that things are going to work out and things are going to be in a good situation once we get to it.
And not to mention, as you mentioned, a lot of these kids are playing all these sports year round anyways. And some of them, yeah, they may be multi-sport, but they don't get downtime. And that's the other thing. That's okay. Like, we're all conditioned now to go. You go from varsity to club to different sports, yada, yada. There's never any downtime. And that's the other thing. Like, even us, as much as we're encouraging kids and running home workouts, we also want to give them license to, now you don't want to sit there and play Call of Duty every hour for, a month in a row, but like, it's okay. Get some extra sleep, learn how to cook, read a book. Like, that stuff's all good too, and will help you in other ways. One other plug I want to make, just for people to keep their eyes open for, once we get past the worst of things and it starts to improve, you're going to see a lot of messaging from our folks around how to properly return. You can't go from an extended, unusual period of time off, even as a high condition college athlete, into, well, now I'm going to practice the way I would have on opening day anyways. Like, you're going to have to ramp it up, or kids are going to get hurt, or bad things are going to happen. So more to come on that front. Rob, you get to kind of wrap things up for us here. What's your take? We mentioned a lot of themes. Patience. It's going to get there. Things are going to catch up in some regard. Again, patience with recruiting is good. Things have gotten out of hand for a while, where you're hearing about 8th graders getting offers, and I know, again, in volleyball this year, that clock was shortened anyways. Do you foresee, could there be some recruiting regulations, rules, guidelines that come from this going forward in the industry as a whole that's going to maybe right-size things or make things a little healthier for coaches in terms of how much they're away from their families on the road, in terms of athletes and the pressures and the opportunities that they're feeling obligated to?
Well, I know everyone doesn't feel this way, but my personal bias is I see the entire process slow down about 6 months. Dave mentioned, there's an epidemic of transfer. And for me in baseball, I see the transfer, a lot of it being an issue that a 2023 committed to school X. Well, that kid's a freshman or a sophomore in high school. And if he doesn't really progress at an aggressive level, he may get there as a freshman and not be able to compete. And then, that leads to transfer, or you have so much can happen in 3 or 4 years. So I don't mind the whole thing slowing down and allowing the kids a little bit more time to develop. The other piece of it, and this is maybe a little more baseball specific, we see so many overuse injuries in elbows and shoulders with baseball kids because they all play shortstop or center field, and they pitch, and they play on their fall team, and they play in the spring, and they play in the summer, and they go to showcases. And honestly, the inning amount that a lot of those kids are throwing is well above what we would allow, our kids that are 21, 22 years old to do over the course of a 12-month cycle. So there's some silver lining, like Leanne said. This will, slow down some of that stuff for sure, as long as they, back to your point, as long as they, take 4 to 6 weeks to get ready, understanding that they're going to need some time to get their arm up to speed from a health perspective. The other thing for all of us, like, there is so much information out there for kids now on individual skill development, and that's really missing in baseball, especially in rural America, where the kids are playing 4 sports, and they aren't spending as much time. If they're a South Dakota kid, they probably just came out of basketball season or even track or another sport, and then they're playing 60 days of baseball, and so this time that they can use so many resources online or on social media, on any platform, and find, infield drills they can do in their garage by themselves, or footwork if you're a catcher, or mechanic stuff, or arm care stuff if you're a pitcher, and really still keep developing those skills, in a kind of a solitary way. And I'm sure the other coaches would agree with me. The kids that do the best as high-level college athletes, they really love the development and the process and the work. Like, it's not just game day that they love. Like, the best shooters in basketball they love to shoot. They love to be in the gym. There aren't very many just natural athletes that are just going to be able to show up on game day and be better. So, I think baseball players that are hoping to be recruited, the best thing I could tell you, other than, just the personal development that we've all talked about, is just that individual skill development and working on your craft a little bit, even if it's mom or dad or brother or whoever, is in your small group at home. It's surely it's right for the taking there.
Fantastic. Well, good stuff. And since you mentioned that, Rob, I might as well plug that our Sanford Power social media channels have a variety of at-home workouts, skill workout, mental stuff, smoothie recipes, you name it. And so that's kind of our role in this, is to try and help people through it as they're looking for answers. So I can't thank you all enough for being here. Again, our best to you and your families and your athletes and your recruits and your communities and everybody. And for the viewers out there, thank you for checking in. Feel free to comment on this after the fact, even though we're recording it. We'll be happy to get back to you with answers from some of our experts. And again, abide by those medical rules, do your social distancing, and we hope to see you guys all again very soon.